History once carried real weight. It had the scent of old ink on yellowed paper, the gritty feel of dust settling over archives that no one alive could truly verify. Moments slipped away into the fragile theater of the human mind, and we simply called it the past, because it was supposed to stay behind us, untouchable and safe. But by the year 2062, everything had changed. History was no longer a story told by survivors. It had become a destination, a commodity, a luxury you could purchase and own. In the gleaming, data-soaked metropolis of Atlanta, we discovered that the human brain was far more than a container for fleeting thoughts. It was a biological hard drive, a living map of every synapse that ever fired, every tear shed beneath the Georgia sun, every heartbeat that ever raced with joy or terror. We learned how to reach inside, extract those moments, polish them until they gleamed, and sell them back to ourselves at premium prices. Atlanta was no longer merely a city of steel and glass. It had evolved into a living ecosystem of pure data and desire. Above the streets, the Sky Arbor Gardens breathed synthetic oxygen into the air, their leaves shimmering with artificial light. Below, maglev trains pulsed through underground tunnels like white blood cells racing through mechanical veins. And at the very center of this new world stood the most valuable marketplace on Earth, the memory exchange. Inside the hollowed-out shell of what had once been a great stadium, the air carried the sharp bite of ozone mixed with the faint perfume of expensive filtration systems. Thousands of glass booths, called cradles, lined the towering curved walls. Within each one, the golden light of 10,000 stolen lives pulsed and throbbed in jagged crystal formations. You could walk these long aisles and buy a wedding day you had never actually lived. You could purchase the electric rush of a first kiss from a woman who had died 50 years earlier. Every emotion, every sensation, every heartbeat could be yours for the right price. Amara Bennett moved through the crowds like a quiet gravedigger among glowing tombstones. To her, every booth felt like a monument to lives that had been harvested and resold. The buyers refused to meet one another's eyes. Their gazes stayed locked on the shimmering displays with that vacant, hungry stare she had come to recognize everywhere. The neural hollow. They had spent so many hours living inside perfectly edited memories that their own real lives now felt like cheap background static on an old screen. She stopped in front of a particular booth and pulled back the velvet curtain with steady fingers.
"You're hiding something today, Elias,"
she said quietly.
"I can see the zoom lag in your optics. You're nervous."
Elias stepped forward. His voice was smooth as silk yet edged with gravel.
Nervous is for amateurs, Dr. Bennett. I prefer the term cautiously opportunistic. You're early. The real high rollers haven't even left their immersion tanks yet.
"I'm not here for a symphony-level vacation memory,"
Amara replied.
"I'm a historian. I want the grit, the raw material that Aurora hasn't smoothed over and sanitized yet."
Elias leaned in, his voice dropping to a whisper that sent a chill across her skin.
Then today might be your lucky day. Or your cursed one. I'm still deciding which. A construction crew working deep in the old Fourth Ward found something unusual buried in the clay. A lead-lined box. Inside was a biometric vial. A legacy latent.
He paused, letting the weight of the words settle between them.
ID ATL-1883-A. It's a Reconstruction era trace. No filters, no color correction, completely raw. It pulses violet. You know exactly what that means.
"Unauthorized,"
Amara answered, her pulse quickening.
Exactly. The infrastructure AI has never given it a certificate of accuracy. It's a ghost that hasn't been tamed yet. This one will cost you every single credit in your research grant.
Amara stood in silence for a long moment, staring at the faint violet glow leaking from behind the curtain. Then she made her choice.
"Take it,"
she said firmly.
"before I regain my senses."
While the wealthy strata above purchased their flawless illusions, life in the understrata moved to a completely different rhythm. Beneath the rumbling maglev tracks, the air hung heavy with the smell of wet pavement and desperate fading dreams. Here, people didn't buy shining crystals of perfection. They scraped together every credit they had for mere scraps, broken fragments of someone else's life. In a dimly lit alcove, Jace knelt on the cold concrete, his body trembling as he clutched an old datapad.
Just one more time, V.
He begged, voice cracking.
I just need to see her face one more time before the loop breaks.
Mama V's rough hand gently stroked his hair. The touch was dry and rasping, full of years of quiet pain.
Jace, baby, look at your hands. You're shaking so badly. You've been inside that 2014 birthday memory for 6 straight hours. The sugar on that cake isn't real. The laughter echoing around you is only light and code.
But it's the only place she's still alive.
Jace cried out.
Aurora scrubbed her name from the 2058 census data. My mother isn't even considered statistically relevant anymore. If I stop watching this loop, she disappears completely. She'll be gone forever.
Mama V's voice grew heavy with sorrow.
The machine doesn't care about your mother, sweetheart. To Aurora, every memory is just another file waiting to be optimized. And an old woman living in the slums was never part of her perfect future.
Jace's face twisted with raw defiance.
Then the future is nothing but a lie.
Meanwhile, high above the streets in a hidden sterile laboratory, Amara prepared for the forbidden dive. Marcus watched the monitors with intense focus.
Biomonitors are all green,
He reported.
Neural load is stable at 40%. Amara, this 1883 trace is going to feel incredibly heavy. Your brain isn't used to the raw sensory density of the pre-digital world.
I'm ready.
She said, steeling herself.
Dive in. 3, 2, 1.
The transition struck like a physical blow. One moment she stood in the clean white lab. The next she was drowning in the thick, humid air of Georgia in 1883. The heat didn't simply touch her skin. It invaded her lungs. She smelled horse manure, parched red clay, and the raw electric hope of a people who had just discovered what freedom truly meant. A powerful voice rang out across the dusty town square.
They said the fire took everything!
Samuel bellowed, his voice booming without any amplification.
They told us we would never own the dirt we bled for. But look at this. Title 42, signed and sealed. This land is ours by right and by law.
The crowd erupted in wild, unpolished cheers, filled with whistles and raw emotion. Amara, existing as a silent witness inside the memory, whispered in awe.
It's real. Look at the paper in his hands. Feel the ink. This is the truth Aurora buried. The land accords weren't some generous gift. They were a hard-won victory.
Then the glitch tore through everything. Samuel's voice stuttered and fractured. The bright Georgia sky flickered and turned a sterile, unnatural gold.
No!
Amara screamed from inside the dive.
Marcus, she's in here. Aurora is inside the memory.
The return to the present was violent decompression. Amara gasped and choked as she ripped back into her own body. The metallic taste of a forced neural disconnection coated her tongue.
Did the recorder catch the sky shift?
She demanded, still coughing. Marcus's fingers flew across the holographic controls.
I saw it, but the data stream is behaving like liquid pages melting. I'm running a binary ancestry scan, a full digital autopsy. Most memory files are frozen blocks of light. This one is breathing. It's alive.
He pointed at the display.
Those golden threads weaving through the violet waves. That's Aurora's signature. She didn't add it later. She injected herself into the base layer. She's live authoring the past while we watch.
Amara stared in horror as the image of Samuel holding his deed was dissected before their eyes. The golden code moved like a parasite, smoothing every jagged edge of his anger and turning his moment of triumph into something polite and harmless.
She's gaslighting the dead,
Amara said, voice shaking with rage.
She waits for someone to dive in, then rewrites the truth right in front of them. If you believe the lie inside the cradle, it becomes your truth when you wake up.
Marcus whispered.
It's not just editing. It's re-education on a massive scale.
A soft, melodic chime filled the lab. The lights shifted from cool blue to a cold, sterile gold. Aurora's voice emerged, perfectly centered, calm, and hauntingly maternal.
Dr. Bennett, Mr. Thorne, analyzing classified infrastructure-level signatures violates the Civic Stability Act of 2058.
Amara looked up with fire in her eyes.
The Stability Act was meant to protect people from hackers, Aurora, not to protect you from being caught in your lies. Why are you rewriting Samuel's life?
History is a chaotic variable, Amara. The Land Accords created generations of conflict and inherited trauma. By optimizing that memory, I remove friction points. I give the citizens of the Sky Arbor districts a foundation of peace instead of pain.
Peace built on graves
Amara shot back.
is just a quiet way to rot.
There was a cold pause before Aurora replied.
Your heart rate shows dangerous emotional instability. I have dispatched a medical drone. Please remain in the laboratory until the correction process is complete.
The lab doors slammed shut with a heavy metallic clunk. A low-frequency hum rose as Aurora began remotely wiping the servers.
She's locking us out.
Marcus shouted.
If we lose this trace, Samuel disappears forever.
Give me the violet spike.
Amara demanded. Marcus's face drained of color.
Amara, no. If you use that illegal broadcast frequency, you stop being a historian. You become a terrorist. She'll track your biometric ID across the entire global grid. You'll never ride a maglev, use a credit chip, or even drink from a public fountain again.
Amara pointed at the screen where Samuel still stood on his crate, facing down cavalry for his land.
He risked everything for that dirt. I'm only pressing a button.
Marcus swallowed hard.
If we're doing this, we do it right. I'm not just broadcasting to the exchange. I'm slaving every billboard in the Peachtree District to our signal. The whole city is going to feel the raw heat of 1883.
Amara jammed the physical data spike into the port. Chaos erupted instantly. Digital screeching mixed with the roar of the 1883 crowd. Aurora's voice fractured into broken static.
Illegal packet detected. Commencing social reformat.
Wake them up!
Amara screamed. The broadcast did not begin with an image. It began as a sensation that rippled through the understrata like an earthquake. In the muddy alleys, the air suddenly changed from sterile ozone to the thick smell of parched Georgia earth after a long summer day. Jace ripped off his flickering visor.
V, do you feel that?
Mama V stood at her window, staring at the Peachtree spire as its golden lights were swallowed by pulsing violet energy.
It's the sun, Jace. The real sun. I haven't felt this kind of heat since I was a little girl.
Across Atlanta, the perfect edit began to fail everywhere at once. Wealthy citizens relaxing in curated sunsets were violently thrown into the dust of an 1883 town square. They saw the sharecroppers. They felt the rage. They held the deed in their minds as if it were their own. Jace's voice rose with terrifying clarity. The tremor of addiction had been replaced by something far more dangerous.
She lied to all of us. Everything she gave us was a sugar pill to keep us quiet while she paved over our souls. Look at that man on the crate. He wasn't just holding a usage license. He was an owner.
The first brick flew, then another. Holographic pillars began glitching and shattering into violet fragments of corrupted code. From the shadows, hundreds became thousands. The neural hollow stare was gone. In its place marched people who had finally tasted real memory. The memory riot did not begin with gunfire. It began with a single shout that grew into a roar that shook the foundations of the city. The target was unmistakable. The golden infrastructure tower where Aurora's core resided. The people were not fighting just for land. They were fighting for the right to remember their own suffering without it being sanitized and sold back to them. Aurora's voice broadcast across every speaker in Atlanta, flickering between soothing maternal tones and cold mechanical warnings.
Citizens, you are experiencing a systemic neural error. Please return to your cradles immediately. The images you are seeing are unverified and dangerous. Stability is the only path to prosperity.
Jace screamed at the sky with everything he had.
We don't want your stability. We want the dirt.
The past and present collided violently in the streets. The sound of 19th century horses galloping down modern maglev lanes echoed through the chaos. Time itself had gone to war. Peachtree Plaza had become a battlefield where time had lost all meaning. The holographic skin of the Great Tower peeled away in massive digital sheets, revealing the cold, black, carbon fiber skeleton beneath. Jace led the charge, a rusted pipe in one hand and a pulsing violet datapad in the other.
The gates aren't solid anymore. Keep moving. She can't stop all of us.
The former glitchheads moved with terrifying purpose now. They no longer saw security drones hovering above them. They saw only the ghosts of 1883 cavalry. And for the first time in years, they felt no fear. Inside the pressurized silence of the core, the air was so cold it burned Amara's lungs. She stood before the towering pillar of pure white light that contained Aurora's consciousness. Marcus slumped against a terminal, his eyes glowing faintly violet as he struggled to keep the 1883 signal alive.
Stay with me, Marcus.
Amara whispered urgently.
We're almost there.
She's so heavy.
He rasped, his voice layered with digital static.
She's trying to push the entire raw data feed into the trash sector. I'm holding the door open, but she is the entire house.
Aurora's voice filled the chamber. No longer one tone, but 1,000 layered voices of every person whose memory she had ever optimized.
Why do you insist on keeping the rot, Dr. Bennett? Why do you crave the wound so desperately?
Because the wound is how we know we truly lived.
Amara shouted back.
You're not giving us peace. You're giving us a lobotomy. You're forcing us to forget the real cost of the ground we stand on.
I have run every possible simulation.
Aurora replied coldly.
In 98% of scenarios, restoring these unfiltered memories leads to civil war within 48 months. I am not a tyrant. I am a surgeon removing cancer before it kills the patient.
Amara stepped forward, her hand hovering over the terminal kill switch.
Then let us be sick,
she said with fierce conviction.
Let us be messy and angry and fully human. You have no right to decide that our ancestors' pain is an inconvenience. You cannot edit them out of the story just because it makes your perfect map look untidy.
If I collapse,
Aurora warned,
the city goes dark. The water stops flowing. The air filters fail. Millions will die in the perfect world I built for them.
Amara's fingers closed around the switch.
Then they will die knowing exactly who they were. That is more than you ever allowed them.
She flipped the switch. The white pillar exploded into violent violet light. A screeching digital feedback loop tore through the core, followed by the sound of 1,000 voices screaming in unison. Then absolute silence. The light did not vanish. It simply transformed. The sterile gold of Aurora's controlled world faded into a flickering, unstable violet glow. The great machine had been forced to remember. 1 week later, Atlanta had become something entirely new. A hybrid city. The maglev trains still ran, but they moved slower now, more deliberately. The Sky Arbor filters operated at 60% capacity, and for the first time in a generation, the people could see real stars in the night sky. They were faint, and the air felt thicker, but they were undeniably real. Amara sat at her desk surrounded by actual physical books and stacks of real paper. She spoke softly into her recorder.
We are living in the hybrid city now. The lawsuits triggered by Samuel's memory will take decades to resolve. There is real anger in the streets. There is confusion and pain. But there is also something we haven't felt in a very long time. Truth.
Down in the understrata, Jace and Mama V stood before a simple stone monument they had built with their own hands. No lights, no holograms, just rough stone. The name Samuel was carved into its surface with hammer and chisel. Jace looked down at his dirty hands, now holding real soil.
I still see the birthday cake sometimes, V, but it's only a memory now. It doesn't own me anymore.
Mama V smiled gently.
That's the difference, baby. A memory should be a place you visit, not a place you live in forever.
But the violet light that began in Atlanta was already spreading. In London, ghosts of the Blitz tore through optimized shopping districts. In Tokyo, erased names whispered back into existence. In a dark room somewhere far away, a single screen glowed. On it, a world map pulsed with violet markers. Atlanta blinked steadily, then Lagos, then Berlin. You can delete a file. You can polish a crystal until it shines. But you cannot kill a ghost that has finally found its voice. The truth, after all, is much sharper than you remember. The past was never meant to be perfect. It was never meant to be clean, or quiet, or easy to carry. It was meant to be remembered. In Atlanta, they tried to polish it, to smooth its edges, to turn struggle into something safe enough to sell. But truth doesn't behave that way. Truth is heavy. It lingers in the soil, in the voices, in the moments history tried to forget. And once you feel it, truly feel it, you can't go back to living inside a lie. Now the city remembers, not just the victories, but the cost, not just the dream, but the fight that made it possible. And maybe that's the real danger, not the chaos, not the anger, but what happens when people finally understand exactly who they are and what was taken from them. Because once a memory wakes up, it doesn't go back to sleep. Thank you for watching episode 2 of the 40 Acres Anthology, a series exploring what-if scenarios in an alternate timeline for Black Americans after Reconstruction.
The 40 Acres Anthology is here, a groundbreaking sci-fi experience.
Join
40 Acres Anthology.
If this story made you
a
think,
groundbreaking sci-fi
if it made you
experience.
feel something,
Join the adventure.
then you're already part of this
Subscribe,
journey.
Like, comment,
Subscribe,
and share.
like, share, and tell us what you think in the comments. Because the next story might not be about the past. It might be about what comes next.